Hello, welcome to the GMAT Club MBA Spotlight Fair featuring top business schools from across the world. My name is Selby, and I'm a GMAT Club moderator who's delighted to be hosting Vanderbilt University's Owen Graduate School of Management, here to give us a great insight on what the MBA program is like at Vanderbilt. We've got Amanda, Mckenzie, Trey, Zerleena, who will be taking us through the presentation, after which we will be going through a Q&A. This Q&A will happen later on Zoom, so make sure to join right after this session. We will be offering some prizes for you for attending the session. The prize drawing will be done at the end, so if you want to enter the prize drawing, the link to it will be uploaded on the chat box. Last but not least, guys, do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. It'll only take a minute of your time. I'll turn it over to you guys.
Great. Thank you, Selby. Hi, everyone. It's great to be with everyone today. I'm Amanda Fend. I'm the Director of MBA Recruiting at Vanderbilt Business, and excited to be here with some students and a colleague to share more about our program and answer questions you all might have. So I will let the rest of the team introduce themselves and look forward to speaking more.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Mckenzie Mulligan. I'm an assistant director with the MBA Recruiting and Admissions team at Vanderbilt Business. Just as Amanda said, we're excited to be here today to tell you a little bit more about our MBA program. And with that, I'll hand it to you, Trey.
Hey, y'all. My name's Trey Suddeth. I am a first-year MBA student. Prior to Owen, I was in Austin, Texas. And while I'm here, I'm focusing on strategy and operations.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zerleena, and I'm at Owen pursuing operations and strategy, very similar to Trey. I'm also exploring healthcare. Prior to Owen, I actually worked as an accountant. I graduated with an accounting degree from the University of Minnesota, Duluth, worked at Estee Lauder companies in Dubai, and then CG Dubai as an accountant. And then for the last 1.5 years prior to Owen, I was working in a healthcare startup with a couple of other Vanderbilt students and a few professionals from Africa.
Great. Thank you both so much. So today we will walk through a presentation, an overview of Owen Vanderbilt and our program. But also really excited to have Zerleena and Trey to share the student experience, which I know is what people are most interested in. So Mckenzie and I are going to walk through a few things, but definitely excited to have Trey and Zerleena jump in. So the first thing, I'll start, why Vanderbilt? We know you're all thinking right now, why business school? And then a step further, why would a specific program be the right community for me? And so we'll share some more about ours. So if I could share one slide about our program, it would be this. We are known and our students confirm that when they come that they experience this for our personal scale. So what does this mean? Our program is very small. Each class is about 170 people. And what this translates to as a student is a very personalized experience in the classroom, in your career journey, but with each other. It's hard not to know everyone in your class well before I think the first year is over, but also the professors that you'll work with, the staff, the career coaches, the leadership coaches, all of the people that will be involved in your experience. A few weeks ago, I did a panel with a few students, and one of them was talking about how that weekend she was going to go on a hike with her econ professor. So that to me really symbolized that personal scale that you'll feel in the experience. And then the next thing I'd share about Vanderbilt, we just know that this is a really important area for a lot of people, sustainability and social impact. And so, whether it's something you want to pursue as part of your career or just something that's really important for you to learn as your business experience, we offer a lot of courses in this space. We have a group called the Turner Family Center for Social Ventures on campus at Owen that helps students get real hands-on immersive experience in this space, whether it's through serving on a board in the Nashville community, or a global trip helping an organization in another country as they strive to alleviate poverty through an entrepreneurial venture or something else. So definitely a big part of our program. And then another thing I wanted to share, we know that rankings are important for a lot of people looking at business schools, and I won't walk through each of these bullets because you can see them, but what I want to say is that we are really proud of where we are in the rankings, but mostly I think we're proud of what has led to them, the people behind those, the work and the effort and the connections that have led to those. So just wanted to share that, but very, very proud of where Owen is and what has gotten us there. Definitely wanted to talk briefly about Nashville, and you'll hear a little bit more about it from our students. But what I will say from this slide that you can probably take away from all of this info is that Nashville is an amazing place to live. It's an amazing place to go to school for 2 years. It's also an amazing place to live and work. So, and then the next slide, just I think if you are familiar, you might have heard some of this buzz about Nashville, but I think a lot of people realize it's an amazing place to live and just a really good quality of life. I think the stat now is that about 100 people a day are moving to Nashville. So you can see it's a beautiful picture of the downtown, which is only about 10 or 15 minutes, depending on traffic from campus, maybe even less. But I think the next slide really shows what is really important, I think, to a lot of business students at Vanderbilt, which is that with that growth, in Nashville has come a lot of corporate opportunities and chances to get hands-on experience, whether it's through projects or through internships or full-time roles after Owen. So companies were already in Nashville in the healthcare space and the entertainment space, but over the past few years, we've seen so much growth from companies in tech and other industries as they've moved headquarters or created new headquarters in Nashville, like Amazon or Oracle or AllianceBernstein. So being in Nashville has really translated to a lot of opportunities for our MBA students to get hands-on learning experience. So I would love to ask both Zerleena and Trey. And Zerleena, if you want to start, what made you choose Vanderbilt, and what, I know you were already in Nashville, so what led you to Nashville? And Trey, when you chose Vanderbilt, what led you to Vanderbilt in Nashville?
Thank you, Amanda. I moved to Nashville because of family. My husband works at Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt was the university of choice for me. Plus, I also was approaching it as a career shifter. I worked in accounting and I want to get into operations. So this was the perfect place for it. And Vanderbilt also has a great reputation for being a top healthcare program. And that's also something I'm exploring here. That was one of the main reasons why I chose Nashville. It's a great city to be in. It's small and personal scale, really feels it. You really take it to a next level here because you get to know your classmates. The bonding that you have with them is very, very, it's great. So I love Vanderbilt. So.
And for me, similar sentiment as Zerleena. I chose Vanderbilt for its great brand recognition as the larger parent across the states and even internationally. I remember having gotten accepted. I was wearing a hat in Costa Rica, and a few people were coming up to me of, that's a great school to be admitted to. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, but how do you know this? And it was funny to see that power that's emitted from it. But then also the smaller feel, and I think it's kind of the best of both worlds. And I'll speak to this on Nashville as well, of having access to the bigger parent in Vanderbilt, but Owen really being its own culture and smaller orientation around. I think we have between 180, 190 students. So every single day we're interacting with each other and constantly saying hello and recognize each other in the class. And as far as Nashville goes, being from Austin, it was a very similar feel of growth and opportunity within an urban space. What I particularly liked about Nashville is the access to the Southeast. I thought that was a very big appeal for me, and being close in proximity to the mountains and the nature side, but also having that more orientation around this is the next frontier of businesses moving here, and really having direct access to some of those more community-oriented facilities. There's a lot of activity, especially recruiters and employers coming to campus, of how can they get involved? How can we alter this in a more realistic manner of how can we change and involve ourselves in the community, which I really appreciate versus some of the larger cities. You might not get that impact that I think Vanderbilt and Nashville, you get that connection.
Great, thank you for sharing. And I'm going to jump in here just to tell you a little bit more about really who we are, and if you were to come to the program, what that would look like. So we've talked through about this idea of personal scale, but something else you're going to hear about, and just as some of our students are touched on, there's definitely this idea of competitive, not cutthroat. So there's really an emphasis in our community on teamwork, collaboration, working together, and just, as we've discussed, you really get to know your classmates well with that smaller class setting. I would say with some of your core classes, maybe a size of about 40. As you get into electives, maybe even a smaller class size of about 20 or so. So there's really an emphasis on this teamwork, working with your classmates, and I think also getting support with your classmates as well. And we always give this example, and I think it speaks to competitive, not cutthroat. Whereas, you might be looking for an internship or a full-time post-MBA opportunity and could be competing with your classmates, but a lot of times our students are studying together, cheering each other on. And again, I think that speaks to our community and what we are all about. To give you an idea of our class profile as well, this is based off our last incoming class, so our first year class. I think this is just a helpful resource to have on hand. It gives some information about where we sit with our GMAT score, again, our size, some of those important stats, that I think are helpful if you're looking to apply. I'll also just note too, on the left here, this graph that we have with undergraduate majors. I think this is a great resource because a lot of times people are always thinking they have to come from traditional business background, where that's really not the case. You'll see that we have people that do come from, more of a business background, but also liberal arts or science, engineering, and a non-traditional path. And again, that's fine. We definitely value that diversity in our classroom with different backgrounds and thoughts. And again, being able to collaborate with your classmates and really learn from them as well. So what does it look like when you actually get here and you start the program? So one great thing I think about our program is we have a mod system. So we have 4 mods a year. It's like you take a semester and you cut it in half. So it's really nice because this curriculum moves quickly, gives you exposure to a lot of different areas. If you look here, this is kind of maps out what your first year will look like. So you have 11 classes, core classes your first year. And then your second year, you're just going to have 1 core class. So again, moves quickly. You could get exposure to a lot of different areas. Within your first year, you can add into up to 6 electives. So really starting off the bat to customize your curriculum to your goals. And then that second year is pretty much going to be all electives with just that 1 core class. So the way that you can customize your curriculum is through a concentration, specialization, and emphasis. So a lot of different variety with, again, what we offer as far as curriculum. So obviously these are a lot of words, a lot of information here. I think the biggest thing to note though is concentration. That's going to be similar to like a major. Every student's going to pick at least 1 concentration, but there's a lot of flexibility with it. Specialization, that's almost like a deep dive off of concentration. We offer 4 of those, and then we have 3 emphases that we offer as well. So again, you'll pick at least 1 concentration, but some students will do 2, or you can do 1 concentration pair with an emphasis, or you could go for a specialization. You could also do an independent study, or you could take another class through other graduate programs at Vanderbilt. So again, a lot of flexibility with just how you want to design your curriculum and what that looks like. And as I said, to jump back here, within your first year, you can take up to 6 electives. So I think that's great because that can really help you as you're preparing for your internship recruiting or as you're going into an internship. I'll just note with our concentrations, I think two really unique ones are healthcare. A lot of great healthcare opportunities in Nashville. We're also have, of course, Vanderbilt Medical Center in our backyard, so that's great too. And then HOP, Human Organizational Performance, a lot of really great curriculum there. Even if you're not concentrating in it, I think those classes can help anyone out in a leadership role. To jump over here, STEM designated, you'll see two of our concentrations are STEM designated. Those are operations and then analytics as well. So that's really attractive, especially for our international students, as it's going to give them additional 24 months of OPT. And then just one additional thing I wanted to share is a really great resource that we offer is our leadership development program. And any student can take advantage of this. It's outside of the classroom. It is no additional cost. It's, again, available to everyone. And through this program, you can be paired up with an executive, a coach. That executive coach, that's their full-time profession. You can meet with them and have some sessions with them, and they can help to guide you on really things that you want to work on. So it could be time management or speaking up in the classroom. So again, it's a really awesome resource, and you can take advantage of it for the full 2 years or 1 year, an additional way to improve while you're in business school. So I will pause there and just wanted to kind of, based on that curriculum and our mod system, ask Trey, for you, what's the classroom experience been like for you, and anything that, has surprised you thus far with your first year starting out?
Yeah, Mckenzie, I saw fast and intensive start was one of the terms on one of the slides, and that definitely resonates true of meeting my expectations of right from the get-go. You're expected to come in and perform. And I think one of the surprising aspects of the experience so far was how much teachers rely, and the education extends beyond just the material. It's what students can provide based on their experience. The variety of military, liberal arts teachers, industry practitioners that really bring out, I think, different angles of the business and some of the classes that we took that really can't be captured in other environments. But having that expectation and kind of catching on as the mod continued was a bit surprising. And now, having been accustomed to that, I see the benefits much more and can adequately prepare for each class. The other piece that I wanted to mention was outside of the core curriculum, and I like this reminded me here of the LDP, is how curated most of the programs are for students. And coming from a work environment where there was a lot of intensity of you focus your job and there's a lot of independent work, the expectation around now you're much more interdependent and having to rely on each other of setting up meetings, and often rely on each other to fill in gaps as the mod and semester continues on. That's been a very strong experience of I think the learning that isn't exactly metriced into what we provide in terms of curriculum there. Zerleena, did you have similar experience?
Absolutely, Trey. I think you've said everything. You've covered it all. What I will add to this is, can't emphasize enough about how Vanderbilt is a community where everyone is invested in your success, whether that be the faculty, the staff, as well as the students, especially even the second-year students. The number of people I've approached for advice and help on what to do, it's amazing. So we've talked about a leadership development program. I've got a meeting set up with my LDP coach next week. And in addition to that, through the CMC, I also have a peer coach. And so my peer coach was incredible in giving me advice on how to balance my curriculum, like what I should be focusing on in terms of recruiting schedules, as well as advice and classes to take. And the amount of support you get, and it's so easy to just be like, approach anyone and say, hey, can I get your advice? What do you suggest? And this is not just for second years, but even alumni. So as recruiting seasons picking up for consulting, I've had a couple of coffee chats and with a lot of Vanderbilt alumni, and that's also been super helpful. Like even asking them, what classes do you think I should take? What do you think is helpful? They're so honest and genuine about it. So getting that, and they all say at the end of it, if you want to reach out, add me on LinkedIn and we can happy to talk more to you. It's a very, very collaborative environment, and everyone's here to support you and make you grow. And the other thing about the mod system, what I loved about, and you learn once you're in mod 2, is the entire game of an MBA education is about trade-offs. There is no intensive lesson that it teaches you like trade-offs. So you will have weeks where you have 2 assignments due, you have major recruiting events due. Last week we took part in a Deloitte case competition, which had a 48-hour turnaround, and then we also had assignments due. So it's like, how do you lean into your classmates' strengths, and how do you balance your time and your resources so you can bring your best foot forward? It's a beautiful learning ground for this. There are mistakes you can make and you can learn from it, but there's also a lot of support you're going to get from the community. And like I said, faculty and staff who are here to just make sure you succeed. So that's all I'm going to add for now on this session. So.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I feel like we could end now. I love all your input. So thank you both so much. I'll just briefly talk about admissions and then the Career Center that Zerleena, you touched on. But what I will say about admissions is, I know all of this is on our website, that we just want to make our application as accessible as possible for people. We know how stressful it is to go through this process, and then it's stressful when you're in the program, but the admissions process is stressful. So one thing I'll say is we also have the way our recruiting and admissions team works is, once you are engaged in our process, even if it's just to get information or you're actually applying, you will be assigned a recruiting manager. So one of Mckenzie or myself or someone else from our team who will walk with you along through every step of this process and answer questions. So that personal scale and support starts on day one. And as Mckenzie, you were just showing the slide with all our deadlines. We want to make sure everyone's aware of these. So our next upcoming deadline is our second round, which is January 5th. So we hope many of you will be applying to that, and we would encourage you to apply by round 2 to maximize your opportunity for scholarship consideration. And then I know a common question we get is about scholarship. And so what I will say about this slide is that approximately 70% of our students receive some kind of merit-based scholarship. Like I said, we want to make our process accessible, but we also want to make the MBA accessible. We know it's a big commitment. So your recruiting manager is happy to share details specific to you or any information about this. And we have a lot more on our website about scholarships. And then I think the last, just to jump in, that was what I wanted to share about admissions, and then about the Career Management Center. Hello, I know I'm on that slide. I did spend 10 years in the center, and as Zerleena mentioned, and Trey touched on this a little bit, the experience you'll have, you can see there's just so many things that resources and things that we call it the CMC offers. But the takeaway I wanted to share is that you will have a career coach, and you will also have a peer coach, a second-year student, who are there from day one to help you figure out what is your journey look like in recruiting. It will look different from everybody else in your class. What specifically do you need to do? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are the steps you need to take? And for some people, like, what is it that you want to do, and really figuring that out. So the coach that you'll have and the resources you'll have, they will walk alongside you throughout that, because it's a pretty big process. And just, I think on the next slide, we touched a little bit on, I don't need to go through all these companies, but we are so proud of the companies that engage with Owen and the companies that we help students get engaged with. So these are just some of our top hiring companies, but I always would say to students, if there's like what you want to do, first you need to figure it out, but we can help you get there. It just, a company, whether they're recruiting specifically through Owen or it's in an industry or somewhere beyond Owen that we have alums in or we don't, we will help you get there. And I would say on the next slide, we know what a big investment getting your MBA is. So it's really important that the ROI on the back end is good. And so we're really proud of the data around our career management outcomes and where students go. And like I said, at the end of the day, we want students to be successful in whatever success means to them. And so I think that's really the personal scale that students feel in the Career Center. And I think that's the last slide focused on career. If you don't mind going to the next slide, Mckenzie. Yeah, I'll turn it over to Mckenzie to wrap up. And I think we'll have time for, actually, before I jump to there, I'm sorry, Zerleena, I would love to just have you share your experience in the recruiting process, just to give a student perspective. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so for consulting, a lot of the recruiting timeline starts now and deadlines are approaching towards December. So one of the things the resources we had to use was early on, we signed up with the Owen Strategy and Consulting Club, and they actually had us do a lot of case prep sessions. So you attend those. It's all about practicing. So that was the first thing we did, was like start practicing on case preps. In addition, then through what we have a web portal called the 1220, you get to see all the companies that are having their info sessions. So using that and setting up coffee chats. So coffee chats with a lot of consulting companies. In addition, like recently, OSCC actually held a corporate strategy panel. So we actually got to learn about all the timelines that are coming up for internal strategy roles. So right now I'm in the thick of getting my resume is up to date. I've used the coach to review it, and then practicing on case prepping, submitting those resumes and your cover letters for the deadline before all the consulting company deadlines. And hopefully we'll see what happens in January. I think that's when the interview cycle starts. So that's where I'm at. I'm coffee chatting and getting my resume, dropping my resumes at all the different companies. And case competitions too. So that was a good one. I took part in the Vanderbilt Business and Healthcare Association case competition, which was hosted by Humana, and people actually got to schedule interviews with that, and as well as the Deloitte case competition was the second one I took part in. So all these things are part of getting your recruiting on for consulting.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And I think we are almost at time, so I'll just share a few kind of points about what's next and how you can continue to learn about us. We have our recruiting and admissions fellows. They are current students. Their information can be found on our website. So that's a really awesome resource if you want to connect with some current students, set up a time to chat with them. Again, those are listed on our website. And then as Amanda mentioned, our team, we have our recruiting managers. So that's something, as your information enters our system, you're going to be assigned a recruiting manager. So definitely feel free to reach out to talk with them one-on-one to learn more about us, ask any questions. We're happy to help. So if you're in our system, you should be assigned a recruiting manager. If you are not yet, you can go on our website, fill out a request for information, and we would love to connect with you. So I think that covers it for today, and I think we can end there, but it was great to tell you all about our community and about Vanderbilt business, and thanks for joining.
That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope, guys, that this provided you with valuable information about Vanderbilt. If you still have questions, remember to join Mckenzie, Amanda, Trey, and Zerleena in Zoom. The link is now being posted in the chat, and we hope to see you there. You can also stay tuned on YouTube for the next business school presentation. Thank you all for your time today, and we will see you in Zoom momentarily.